Hey viewers, welcome to another game analysis video by the Casual Pro Gamer. Today we're once again doing Kog'Maw, and this time played by DoubleLift. And we are going to watch the laning phase only on this match. And we see that I'm doing double golems here. This is, I think, after the double golems got their speed buff. And I'm not actually sure, but it doesn't really matter. Double golems are still a pretty easy target. Anyhow, that is not the point. Starting off boots and potions, that is very important. Janna has no heal except for her ultimate, but her ultimate is rarely used to heal and is not usable for sustain in lane anyway. So yeah, Kog'Maw has to start off with boots and potions because, well, without a heal on your team, every harass you get against you is otherwise going to stick, and therefore he has to take the suboptimal route of going for boots and potions. Because, well, the Door's Blade really doesn't give you any sustain in lane, even though people will say, well, it gives you lifesteal, but yeah, the 3% lifesteal really doesn't do anything. It gives you like 2 life for each hit, and yeah, surprisingly here, the Graves, so the opponent, actually going for boots and potions as well, even though he has a healer, and he really doesn't need to. So choosing to go for the, well, not so much optimal build, and yeah, definitely should have gone for the Doran's Blade here, because Doran's Blade would have given him way more damage. I mean, it's 10 extra damage, which is a lot since you normally start off at around 60. And it also increases the skills. For Kog'Maw it's not so much the case, because Kog'Maw's skills depend on AP instead of the AD. So Kog'Maw has to really auto attack only for his damage, and is doing a pretty decent job here. Obviously getting pushed a little bit because the enemies have heal, also because Kog'Maw in the early game is not very strong, and he becomes stronger once he gets some items. But since his skills don't scale on AD, he doesn't really get to have a whole lot of damage early game. Um, yeah, so Ward in the first brush there, making sure that nobody can sneak up on that. And if you're up against someone who has harassment or a harassing support, there are a few of those. Sona is one, Janna I guess is one, but not really until later games, so until like level 4. Yeah, we have several others, such as Tarek. Against those kind of supports, you really want to ward those bushes where they can hide in. So depending on whether you push the lane or they push the lane, you want to get, well, the brush that actually hides the support player. And yeah, it also helps against lane ganks, obviously, but since they're being pushed to the turrets all the time, yeah, it's not that big of a deal so far. So the minions, the melee minions, have to get hit twice by the turret, and then you can attack them once and you kill them. The back minions, so the caster minions, you have to hit them once, then the tower hits them, and then you hit them a second time. If you don't hit them once before the tower hits them, you're not going to be able to pick up the kills. And yeah, nice flash here. Starting off with flashing cleanse. I think we will see that other people will not go for cleanse anymore. Normally now it's flash and heal, but some people still like DoubleLift, still like to go for the cleanse. But the cleanse really doesn't do as well against most situations as the heal will. The heal will give you more health back than you normally lose in situations to a stun or a slow. And yeah, since the heal is therefore more useful, um, people will normally go for that. So as you can see, using the skills a little bit in the last wave already, this wave again, to make sure he can pick up the back minions, because with the friendly minions there, the blue minions, it is pretty hard to last hit versus the turrets, because you're not going to be able, or you're not going to know how much damage they will do between the time, well, when they arrive at the turret and the moment that they actually, your tower actually focuses the minions. So you have to vary your attack pattern a little bit, and therefore every now and then you use a skill, preferably a cheap skill of course, to help out with getting the last minions. So far it's just been farming, 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 and farming against the turret is really, yeah, pretty hard to do. It is a skill you have to really develop by doing it a whole lot, but also by not using AoE skills on the minions. You have to learn to last hit them with just your auto attack, and sure, you will miss a few, but you will get better in the end, and that's what it's all about. It's not about winning this game, it's about in the future winning more games. And that's what learning is all about, and that's what I'm trying to teach. Anyhow, I definitely cannot do that. I'm still learning to do that. With some champions I can actually do it. And yeah, with an AD carry you have the advantage that at some point, so later on in the game, you can almost one-hit the minions. And by that time, so once you have a few Doran's Blades or such, you can one-hit the minions and it will be less of a problem. So as you could see, once the minions arrived, he missed 2 last hits. One due to his own error, one due to the fact that the minions actually attacked, well, the last enemy minion. And as you can see, harassing very little. He is not really interested in getting the kill unless his jungler is coming, but his jungler has no real need to come here. They're not in danger, they still get all of the minions, and really at this point, yeah, they are still pretty farmed, just as farmed as the enemy is. And they have been pushed back to the turrets, and as you can see, the cleanse now coming out, and a little bit of a heal from the ultimate, from Janna's ultimate. But yeah, all in all, yeah, not really a big deal. There's still no real chance of them getting killed, and therefore the jungler hasn't come in. He is coming in now through the bush. Don't know who it is though. It seems that it's Maokai, but... And a bait here by the support, and they're going to get the kill here, I'm assuming. Come on, Kog'Maw, you have an ultimate, dude. There we go. Getting the kill without too much danger. Obviously the enemy thought they could get the support, but that's the risk of going for the kills. You always have the risk that there's someone else there that you didn't see. And yeah, with a 2v1 lane, 2v2 lane, sorry, you always have the possibility of being in a 2v1 fight, because you're always in a 2v1 fight, because both of the enemies are going to focus the same target. They're not going to just attack randomly, they're going to attack the same guy. And if the jungler comes in, it's a 3v1 fight, and therefore it is normally better to not go for, yeah, too much of well, aggression in the bottom lane. And especially if you're a passive champion, a late game champion, he's not passive, a late game champion like Kog'Maw. If you're Urgot, who is really an early game champion, because he really doesn't do anything late game, then you want to go aggressive. You want to have an aggressive support, not a healing support, no Soraka or anything like that, more like Janna, maybe Sona. Taric would definitely be good. But yeah, Alistar of course. Yeah, with the the heal on Urgot, yeah, that's not really too big of a deal because he doesn't take too much damage. He has a shield, but more importantly, if you get a stun on your enemy, so like Janna has or Tarek, you can land the poison and land like 3 or 4 Qs. I think 4 is the maximum you can get out of one poison. But yeah, that's a whole different lane. With Kog'Maw, you want to be a little more passive in the early game. And yeah, getting blocked there from the vision. And yeah, it's still a little bit too strong, the Grace thing where he launches this big smoke cloud and you cannot see anything because yeah, even if it didn't have a slow, it is still too powerful because well you all of a sudden take no damage, so it's like a stun for multiple people, and it also acts as a slow when you want to chase people. So it's a stun when you get attacked, and well, I'm saying stun because if people cannot attack you with their skills or their auto attacks, then it's basically a stun. And yeah, for the uh, yeah, if you're chasing someone, you can use it as a slow, so it's even usable for those situations as well. And it's really a little bit ridiculous, but anyhow, back to Kog'Maw. As we saw, he got 2 Doran's Blades for the sustain mainly, because the 200 extra health, while not, yeah, it's not ideal. I mean, it's not ideal if you want to do the most damage ever or be as effective as possible in the amount of damage you can deal. It is still very, very useful to have that 200 extra health, because otherwise you're going to get killed way more easily. As you can see, it's yeah, maybe you cannot see. He has about 1300 max life now. So the 2 blades actually added like 20% to his life total. It's a little bit less, but you get the point. And 20% is a huge deal, obviously. And with the Doran's Blade, you get some really nice advantage, or well, nice efficiency for your gold use. The problem is you cannot upgrade them, obviously. So yeah, therefore they're pretty good items to buy. You have to sell them late game, but if you use them correctly, you can stay in lane way longer. You can take a lot more harassment, and in the end, they will pay for themselves, because otherwise you would have been harassed out of the lane. You wouldn't be able to farm at all, and those kind of things, they matter, because you're going to lose a little bit of gold on them, sure, but yeah, it's not too big of a deal. Obviously the lifesteal still doesn't do a whole lot here. It becomes viable in the end game. I personally would rather have 50 extra life than the current stats on that. So I would like to have 10 damage and 150 life and no lifesteal, because the lifesteal isn't really useful in most situations. It's only useful after a fight or between fights, where we are now, to heal up a little bit, but since you're only going to last hit, it really doesn't do a whole lot. And obviously if you stack 3 or more of them and then add some extra lifesteal, then it becomes viable, but yeah, still. Once you get nuked down by someone, it's really not that useful. So the whole team is going after the enemies here, and DoubleLift getting a very easy kill there with the ultimate. The ultimate is something you have to learn to work with. It is not that it's very hard to do, but it does take a little while for the ultimates to land, so for the projectile to land. And this was not a very good fight for them. Kog'Maw getting pretty low and might actually still die here. And yes, he does, but is he going to pick up the kill? No. So yeah, there's 5 Again, it was something like a 5 versus 4 fight. Definitely not a good deal, but it's okay. They got some kills back, and yeah, they definitely had a chance there. Anyhow, going for the Berserker's Greaves here, and building into what seems like an Infinity Edge. Obviously, he already had the BF sword, and yeah, that is always what you should buy first. If you're going for the Infinity Edge, you should always buy the BF sword first. Even if you have like 975 for the pickaxe and are already in base, unless your lane is going really crappy. So if you're behind, then you shouldn't go for the Infinity Edge anyway. You should go for some other item that gives you more sustain, such as Wriggle's Lantern is the normal choice, I think. It helps you farm. It gives you more damage against the minions, so you can push your lane a little bit better. And yeah, all in all, it's just a useful item to have. It gives some armor, it gives some lifesteal, it gives you a ward to ward against ganks, because if you're already behind, you don't want to get even further behind. But in this case, yeah, going straight for the Infinity Edge. And yeah, they're all fighting now for Dragon. Dragon is already gone, but the fight is definitely not over yet. And yeah, really this Rumble is a huge problem for them, because he does so much damage while not really caring if he takes damage. And yeah, there's still the threat from Rumble, but Rumble is now at or in the actual bottom lane part. So they can see him, and he's not too much of a problem when he's visible. But yeah, last two fights were really determined by the fact that he was there. So getting the extra lifesteal here does not mean he's going for the Bloodthirster. It means he just wants the extra sustain in lane. As I said, you normally go for Wriggle's Lantern when you're behind. But yeah, there's really no reason for him to go for that. So yeah, running after the Rumble, I think this is wrong. Even though we see the jungler coming in, the Udyr, but he's missing a whole minion wave for doing this, and that is definitely not what you want, because it is going to take them a long time, and it's pretty risky to take this. And almost losing the Udyr there, and that's what I meant. It's really, really risky to go after someone like this. If they had him, if he killed the Udyr, they would have gotten nothing out of that. Well, maybe a little bit of extra gold, because they got an assisted kill and he didn't. But it's a little bit of extra gold, but it's not too big of a deal. He lost a complete wave of minions there, and could have picked up the second one completely, and yeah, it's just not as good. They do get the turret here. Yeah, keep in mind that killing someone is worth about 15 minions. That's it. So 15 to 20, I would say. 20 if you're really pessimistic on which minions you are killing. If you get a lot of like the small golems, or no, not the small golems, but the small one of the double golems, he's not worth a whole lot. The small raids aren't worth a whole lot. But in general, minions are worth between 20 and 25 gold, and with a kill being around 300, yeah, that means that with 15 minions you have yourself a kill, and that's 2 waves. That's a little bit over 2 waves, but still, it's about 2 waves. And the minion value gets higher when the game progresses, so the later it is in the game, the more the minions are worth. And yeah, as you can see, it's a lot of gold you get for that. And even though killing people is way more fun, it is just not as useful as getting the minions. And yeah, of course, if you have stack items, either something like Bloodthirster or something like Magi Soul Stealer or Sword of the Occult, things change because, well, or Warmark's armor. Things change because then the calculation not only involves you getting the gold, but also getting, yeah, things like stacks on your Bloodthirster or stacks on your Magi Soul Stealer. And obviously you don't get stacks for killing minions on a Soul Stealer. So it changes things. So by now, because we're in the later game, we see him going for other lanes and just trying to farm up as much as possible. He's not really chasing after enemies. He's just trying to, if he can get a kill, he's trying to get the kill, and obviously that was a pretty easy kill to get. And yeah, he's not really chasing after them. He can take a few tower shots, but he's trying to just farm up. And still, we're now 20 minutes in or something like that, and he is still just farming. He is still trying to get all of the farm he can possibly get, and obviously the enemy is doing the same thing. So yeah, by now it is starting to get into the team fighting phase, but I'm pretty sure he is going to go bottom lane here, pick up these minions, because yeah, his items definitely aren't completed yet. So as long as your items aren't completed on someone like Kog'Maw, you should keep farming and take as much gold as you can from the lanes, because you're going to be more useful late game when you have the items. The general rule I would set here is once you have Infinity Edge plus a Zeal, which are your two first items normally. I mean, he went for a Vampiric Scepter in between, he went for boots level 2, he went for 2 Doran's Blades, but those things really don't matter. It's all about getting that Infinity Edge, which should always be your first item, and we will see that on, I think, everyone here. And then getting the Zeal for the extra movement speed, extra attack speed. And yeah, once you have that, your laning phase should be over, and you should go help out your team. Yeah, well, your team is then ready to engage the enemy. That's how I should put it, because you're one of the champions that your team should be built around. Because Kog'Maw does a crap ton of damage, and as you can see, going for Zeal, and I really didn't see this game yet. So yeah, it is just the way people build him. And in this case, 2 Doran's Blades. You can also go for 3 Doran's Blades and then sell one by the time you get to the Zeal. But it all depends on how well you're doing. In this case, he's doing pretty well. So I think I'm going to leave it here. We haven't seen a whole lot of fighting, so I couldn't really... Well, we've seen some fighting, but that was more of a 4v5 fight and things like that, and I really wanted to catch that, because that was what I was looking for. There was someone here, right? Come on. Score screen! There we go. So 203 minions on him and 158 on Graves. And that is even though he, and well, no, let's first explain this. That's even though he didn't harass at all. He didn't harass Graves at all. Graves had a healer. It's just that Kog'Maw focused on the minions, got as many minions as he possibly could, and even though he was pushed up to the turret and such, it really wasn't a problem. He started harassing him in the last few waves, because at that point he had a huge lead in minions. He had his Infinity Edge maybe already completed, or at least, well, a good chunk of it. And by doing so, by giving these 50 minions, obviously he has 2 kills as well. But these 50 minions are something like 1,000 gold. And as you can see, this Graves has to have enough gold to upgrade this BF sword. immediately to an Infinity Edge. And as you can see, he's going 3 Doran's Blades. It's valid on Kog'Maw as well. The only, well, disadvantage is that where uh, DoubleLift had the opportunity to go for BF swords plus the pickaxe and then build those two. So once he had 2 of the items, build that into an Infinity Edge. Graves does not have that. Graves has to collect enough gold to immediately go from BF sword in one step to Infinity Edge. And that's a lot more gold you need to collect for that. So in the meantime, you're only going to get 10 damage from your your additional Doran's Blade, where the pickaxe gives something like 25 damage. So that's a chunk more damage. And yeah, you should always consider that you go Doran's Blades, so the third Doran's Blades when you're behind, when you get harassed a lot. And if you don't have to, you don't do it. So 2 is really the way to go. But if you have to, you go a third Doran's Blade. Maybe even build this, instead of going for the BF sword, build this into Regal's Lantern. And that is a really defensive build. It's going to take you a long time to get up to Infinity Edge that way, because Infinity Edge would be your next item choice. But it's a lot safer, and if you're getting harassed pretty heavily, or if you get ganked a lot, or things like that, you want to stay alive a little bit longer in lane, then you go for that. Otherwise, just build it like he built it. Boots level 1 into 2 Doran's Blades. So start off boots with potions if you have a non-healer. If you have a healer, you normally go for Doran's Blade as a first item because it just does so much more damage. And obviously, if you're really into Kog'Maw, you can have 2 runes pages set up. One where you can get, one you can use when you have Doran's Blade as first item, and one that you can use if you have boots and potions as your first item. So anyway, always go for boots level 1, 2 Doran's Blades into boots level 2, because that is the way to go. That is really an excellent way to increase your damage without sacrificing your survivability. Then, yeah, he went for BF swords, pickaxe, plus this Vampiric Scepter. We normally see the Vampiric Scepter after the BF sword. So BF sword into Vampiric Scepter into something, or straight up Infinity Edge or pickaxe. You should never go the critical strike one first before the pickaxe, because it doesn't really add anything. It doesn't really help you. In the end, it helps you if you get a lot of shots off, but yeah, you cannot really rely on it. And the pickaxe, you can rely on doing 25 extra damage. Obviously, if you have to, you can still go for it. You can still go for the, I forgot what it's called, but it's no problem. The critical strike item, because the critical strike item still adds something, but it's just not very good. But if you know that you're going to be able to afford the Infinity Edge anyway the next time you go back, because you're not getting harassed a whole lot, but you went home before getting enough money to buy the, oh come on, the pickaxe, then yeah, just go for it, because having the extra critical strike may help you in lane, whereas not buying anything will never help you in lane. Of course, you can also use the last item slot for potions or for wards or something useful, instead of going for a second item on your Infinity Edge. Anyhow, yeah, we didn't see a whole lot of surprising things here. The team fights that he went for weren't really spectacular. Nothing to analyze really, because they went into a 4v5 fight twice, and yeah, that wasn't really good. Obviously, that last kill on the middle turret where he killed Alistar, that was exactly the way it should be done. Going really aggressive after he saw that Alistar apparently took a lot of damage from his harass. And yeah, Alistar does have some pretty nice defensive items. Has Wriggle's Lantern, has this one is probably added afterwards because he's 0 and 6 now. Um, yeah, Heart of Gold. It all adds to a pretty tanky thing, a pretty tanky build. But still, he saw how much damage he did with just one basic attack, and then he decided, well, let's just go in and see where we go, because he knows he can take like 5 tower shots easy before he has to start worrying about his health. And yeah, 5 tower shots should be enough to kill an Alistar in this case, because he didn't really have the tankiness. But that's all based on, yeah, whether or not you know how much damage you're going to do in a situation. And yeah, if you play a champion over and over again, you will learn that, yeah, in which situations you can actually engage and in which ones you shouldn't engage. And in this case, yeah, he did that quite alright. So anyway, hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time. GG.